Somewhere Better by I_am_Ellie on AO3. Episode 37, Chapter 1. Those You Can Save. Izuku didn't go to Masato often. Never had much reason to, unless he was driving through it to go from point A to point B. He, Ankisho, and Ankisashi all lived in an apartment a few miles away, though Izuku knew that Ankisho and Ankisashi had to drive to Masafu every day for their jobs. Izuku didn't think he liked the city very much. He had initially been a bit excited when his Anki had told him that they was where they would be going, because there was a lot of pro heroes in Masafu, but so far, all he's seen were 4 walls of supply store and not much else. And now, he was lost. Izuku wasn't as nervous about people as Hitoshi was. Izuku didn't think anyone was as nervous as Hitoshi was. He liked people. He wanted to be a hero when he grew up, so of course he liked people. But crowds still make him nervous. Every time he was in a heavily populated area, it always felt like there were dozens of eyes trained on him, watching him, like they knew every horrible thing about him. It was really, really scary. But he had Ankisho, and Ankisho hadn't acted upset when he had hidden behind his leg or stayed close to him, and he felt a little bit better. Just a little. But Ankisho wasn't here now, and neither was Ankisashi. Ankisashi had started hurrying to the car, and he had taken Ankisho with him, and now Izuku was all by himself. Everyone was taller than he was, and they all towered over him, and Izuku hated it. He tried to remember the rules if he got lost. But those rules were supposed to be for stores. He wasn't in a store, and there weren't intercoms outside, and he couldn't stay here. There were too many people trying to move about, and he might upset someone. It was February, and it was cold out. There wasn't any snow, not anymore, but the chill still hung heavy in the air, and it felt like it was settling into his bones. He pulled the hood of his hoodie over his head, and pulled his sleeves down over his fingertips, hugging them under his armpits. He felt a little better. It was getting more crowded now, and Izuku knew he would have to move, go to a clearer area. It would be easier for Ankisashi and Ankisho to find him there. He walked to a crossroad and waited for the light to turn green, before double-checking that the street was empty, and walking across. The other side of the street was less crowded, though Izuku doubted it would stay like that. He walked along the sidewalk, looking up and down the road for a clearer area, but he found none. He walked for a while. The sun had gotten a bit higher in the sky. His feet were aching, and he had fallen a total of 3 times because people bumping into him when he saw it. A bus stop with a bench and an O-ring hanging over it. That would work. That would certainly work. He could stay there until his uncles came to find him. There was another person sitting at the bus stop, a short, skinny person dressed in a black hoodie and jeans. The hood covered his face, and Izuku couldn't tell whether they were a boy or a girl. Izuku sat on the other side of the bench, bringing his legs up and sitting cross-legged atop it. The person was shaking slightly. Izuku could see it, a barely noticeable tremor in their shoulders. Were they crying? Hurt? Izuku was going to be a hero. His uncles were heroes. All Might was a hero. And all heroes helped people. He could help this person, or at least asked if they were okay. Are you okay? Izuku asked. The tremble stopped, slightly. The person's head tilted up, slightly. What? The person croaked. The voice was deeper than Izuku's, but it was squeaky. The person sounded like a boy. Are you okay? Izuku asked again. You look sad. The person's head tilted up the rest of the way, and yes, it was a boy. He had bright red hair that came up in spikes on his head and icy blue eyes. He had a band-aid on a cheek and a bruise on the other side, and there was medical tape holding together a gash above his elbow. Izuku could just barely see a deep red burn right on the side of his neck. Mind your own fucking business, the boy snapped, and Izuku blinked, face pulling in a frown. He wasn't sure what the word meant, but it sounded like a bad word, and Ankisho said only grown-ups were supposed to say bad words, and the boy wasn't very polite. I just want to help, Izuku said, and he had to fight to keep his voice nice and even, and not teary. He wouldn't be able to be a hero if he couldn't stop getting his feelings hurt. I don't want your help. The squeaky boy growled. It felt as if the temperature around them had lifted, slightly. It was warmer, at least. My name's Zuko, Izuku exclaimed happily. It would be nice if the squeaky boy could be. What's your name? Are you deaf or something, brat? The boy asked. I said mind your own business. I'm 5, and I'm waiting for my unkies to pick me up. Izuku continued. How old are you? Leave me alone. It was getting harder to be nice. No, Izuku stated resolutely. You're sad, and you're not supposed to leave people alone when they're sad. It's not nice, and I'm gonna be nice, even if you're mean. The boy stared at him. I don't like my name, the boy admitted. Izuku's head tilted to the side slightly. He was a bit confused, honestly. Well, what is it? The squeaky boy shifted in place slightly. Toya, he said. Toya Todoroki. The name Todoroki sounded familiar. That's a nice name, Izuku noted. But it's still yours, and it's your job to decide whether or not you want to be called it. So, if you don't like it, just make a new one. Toya blinked. Okay, he said. I will. I'll think about it. Izuku grinned. Where did you get your ouchies? Izuku asked suddenly, pointing to the bandage on Toya's... Where'd you get your ouchies? Izuku asked suddenly, pointing to the bandage on Toya's cheek, the burn on his neck. Toya bristled slightly before an odd look came over his face, and he relaxed slightly. My father, he said. He's a bastard. Izuku gasped. Your dad did that? He asked incredulously. But dads aren't supposed to give ouchies. They're supposed to love their kids. That's what they're supposed to do. I guess he didn't get the memo. Toya said dryly. Fucker. Well, what are you gonna do? Izuku asked. Toya raised an eyebrow. Well, you can't stay there, not if he's giving you ouchies. That's not okay. You should go, or tell on him. Toya looked sad for a moment. I can't leave, Toya said, and I can't turn him in. No one would believe me. But why? Izuku asked. If he's giving you ouchies, you show them the bruises and the burns, and they'll have to put him away. They gotta. No, they don't, Toya insisted. It doesn't work like that. That's not fair. No, it sure as hell is not. Toya agreed. But I can't leave, and I can't tell. It's a bad situation. Izuku did feel tears in his eyes this time. I'm so sorry, he said, wiping at his eyes. Can I help? I'm gonna be a hero. I can help, and my unkies are hero. Maybe they can help too. Toya's mouth fixed itself into a grim line, and the little opening Izuku had to talk to the boy closed in on itself. I hate heroes, the boy spat. I hate them. All of them. Izuku gasped. But why? He asked. Heroes help people. They save people from bad guys. My Unki shows can save you. They can. Toya's blue eyes went dark, and Izuku couldn't help but feel a little afraid. No, heroes couldn't be afraid of people that were trying to help. He couldn't be afraid. He wouldn't. I asked you to leave me alone, the boy said very slowly, like Izuku was a baby. I meant it, okay? I don't need help. I hate heroes, and I hate your uncles, and no one can save me. Now go away. More tears slipped down Izuku's face, and he practically wiped them away. No crying, no crying. Crying was from home, not in public. He was a big boy. He could do this. He could help. I just want to help you, Toya. Toya froze for a moment, and it was like all the fire drained out of him at once. He leaned back against the bench and stared out at the road, at all the passing cars, people walking, and ambled around him. Not everyone can be helped, the boy said. Okay, Not everyone can be helped. You can't help someone if they don't want to help themselves. That's how it works. And I don't want to help myself. I have to stay there, okay? Do you understand? Izuku shook his head, more tears rolling down his cheeks. Yeah, I guess you wouldn't. Toya murmured. Shit, okay, look. My siblings are still there, okay? My little sister and my brother and my other brother. He's already beaten on my baby brother, okay? If I leave, they could get hurt. Worse, they could die or... But what if you get hurt worse? What if you die? Izuku asked, voice sounding thready and strained. Toya shrugged. Then I die. He said like dying was a commonplace as a drinking glass of water, or going to bed every night. Izuku was reminded of the boy from Denki's story, the boy that wanted to die. Was Toya tired of being sad all the time too? And I'll die knowing that I helped them for as long as I could. Izuku sniffled and wiped his nose with his sleeve. Why? He frowned. Why do you hate heroes? Toya looked at him, raised an eyebrow. It looked wonky. He was skinny, really skinny, but his face was chubby since he was so young, and the raised eyebrow made it look so squished together. You don't know who I am? He asked. No, Izuku admitted. Toya let out a quiet cackle. God damn. Toya laughed. That is the first time that's happened in a while. Should I know? Izuku asked, feeling rather dumb. No, Toya said. It's probably better this way, honestly. He frowned down at his shoes. The bus isn't coming for another 2 hours. I'm not taking the bus, Izuku said, voice watery. I'm waiting for my unkies. Toya nodded. I'm not taking the bus either. I'm waiting for something to come to me, I think. He said it quietly, like he didn't meant to say it, like it had filtered from his brain out of his mouth on its own accord. Toya blinked hard. Your uncle's related? No, Izuku said. Queer then? Toya asked. Izuku tilted his head to the side. Never mind. Blonde hair, black hair. Izuku nodded again. I think I found them. Izuku's head shot up, and there, on the other side of the street, was Ankisho and Ankisashi. Ankisho looked drawn up and pale, eyes bloodshot, and Ankisashi was looking frantically. Their eyes fell on Izuku. Hizashi made a motion with his hands inside, and Izuku could just barely decipher what it meant. Stay there. They ran towards the crosswalk. Be a good hero someday, okay? Toya requested. Izuku nodded. Toya pulled the hood further over his face. Where are you going? Izuku asked. Toya looked behind Izuku, and Izuku followed his gaze. His unkis, Ankisashi, had tears in his eyes, and Ankisho, though still looked a little sick, looked endlessly relieved. I think I'm done waiting, he said. He looked down at Izuku, smiled just a little. A sad little smile that made Izuku feel confused and heartbroken and lost. Then he walked away, disappearing into the crowd. Oh, thank God! Ankisashi said, pulling Izuku into a tight hug and kissing the crown of the boy's head. Oh, thank goodness! Ankisho sat down on the bench, and Ankisashi released Izuku, the boy falling into Ankisho's arms instead. I'm sorry. Ankisho chanted, voice sounding thick and raw. It's been over an hour and I couldn't find you. I'm so sorry, Cabbage. Not your fault, Izuku said quietly, feeling a bit uneasy at seeing Ankisho so emotional. It's okay, I was sitting with Toya. He's gone now. Hizashi carried him on his hip all the way back to the car, and they watched movies for the rest of the day, sitting on the couch and eating popcorn and cuddling with the cats. 2 weeks later, Izuku was watching the news when he saw it. 13-year-old Toya Todoroki, son of number 2 hero Endeavor, 2 weeks after his mother, Rei Todoroki, was hospitalized, has tragically died late yesterday night under mysterious circumstances. The circumstances weren't mysterious. Not to Izuku. He hid in his room for the rest of the day, crying into his pillow, and not telling his uncles what was wrong when they came into his room to check on him. That day, Izuku realized 2 things. 1, he had never felt more like a failure than he did in that moment. 2, he hated Endeavor. So how are we feeling, guys? This is the part of the episode that I wanted to talk about. So I did start crying towards the end, because I knew what was gonna happen. I knew how this is gonna affect Izuku. I know what's gonna happen. Let's just say, yes, we met Toya. This is the manga spoilers that the tags we're talking about. This is the manga spoilers. As I said, it's not really big spoilers because like everybody knew at this point. But yeah, Toya Todoroki. Becoming, obviously we know what happens to Toya. Toya doesn't actually fucking die because it's Toya. And I find this very interesting. And I was so excited to see like maybe the future where Izuku sees that, Toya is still alive and like, but no, I might, what is the ethics of continuing on a story? Like saying like, yes, it is inspired by this one and I'm continuing it on. Like it's inspired by, I'm not the original creator, like this stuff like that. How? I'll have to talk to some people about that. I'll probably contact some of the people from some other authors that I know, some other people that I know, some other of my fans, and a bunch of other people and see the ethical version of that. Because I don't know if that's ethically okay or not. I don't know. But I really, 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 really want to see them in the future. Like, God, I wish there was more. Okay, but as I was saying, I'm not gonna cry. You're crying, I'm not crying. You're crying, I'm not crying, okay? I'm not crying. I also don't want to fuck it up because Ellie did a really good job at what the story is so far, and I don't want to fuck it up, It would be a different writing style, it would be a different, unique way of doing things, and I would have to psychoanalyze the characters here because it's different writing my own fanfiction than, not continuing it off, but writing an inspired by fanfiction kind of thing like that, where it would be a little harder. But as I was saying, back onto the thing, yes, Izuku blames himself. It's why he said that he's a failure. People-pleasing tendencies. He feels that he needed to save Toya at that moment. He didn't. He failed. He failed that person. And that's on him. In his mind, that's what it is. That's on him. And again, this is something that has been embedded into him. Thanks to the way his mother died, the people around him and how they reacted to that and stuff like that. Like, he genuinely feels like he was the one probably responsible. Also, yeah, don't worry, Izuku, we all hate Endeavor. I just wish Izuku probably thinks, like, if I would have helped, if I would have had him stay a little longer, I could have helped, I could have saved him. And now, in Izuku's eyes, he's dead. Izuku, yet again, couldn't save another person, and yet again, another person in his life. Obviously, this person not as, quote-unquote important, but still another human being, died because he, and I quote, didn't do enough. And that's gonna eat at him up. It's gonna eat at him up. It is. It's probably gonna eat him up for years to come. It's something that's not gonna go away. Right? It's there to stay, unfortunately, and as sad and heartbreaking as it is, that's just the truth. That is what it is. That is the facts. Izuku will forever hold on to the thing, to the whole fact of I indirectly killed 2 people, even though, let's be honest, that's not true. But that's the funny thing about trauma and how it imprints it to you. Something so illogical can seem so factual in your mind. It really could. Anyways, as this was a little bit of a harsher episode, but I don't think we're gonna ask a question. I don't think I'm gonna. Yeah, no. I'm saving that for a specific episode. As always, my raindrops, make sure to eat, sleep, drink water, take your meds. Have a wonderful day or night. Link to my Discord server and socials are down in the description. Subscribe to see more of my content, and thank you so much for watching.